everyone, and welcome to Kiki Crochet. In this video tutorial we are going to learn how to crochet step by step the block stitch, which is a very easy and very simple stitch which we can use in many of our projects. You can make blankets, you can make throws for your couch, you can make scarves, infinity scarves, hats. You can even start a top-down project, a top-down jacket for example. And once you join for the to close the armholes, then you can continue with this stitch for the rest of the project. Okay, so you can adjust it in many crochet projects. Now the rule for this stitch is multiples of 3 plus 4, and the repeating rows are row 2 and row 3. Now let's see how to start creating our stitch. I have started with my chain. I have worked a total of 19 chains. Okay, this means that I have done 5 times the multiple of 3. So 5 times 3 is 15, plus the extra 4 chains that I need to start with. I have a total of 19 chains. Now, because the first row is going to be a row of double crochet, out of the 19 chains, I'm going to have a total of 17 double crochet. So yarn over once, and we're going to skip the first 3 chains, and we're going to put our hook in the 4th one, and we're going to work 1 double crochet. By doing this, the first 3 chains that we skipped are the first double crochet of the row, and the double crochet that I just worked in the 4th chain is my second double crochet. So I start counting from 2. Next chain, 3, next one, 4, next one, 5, and keep crocheting up until the end right over here for a total of 17 double crochet. Now I'm almost done with row 1, and so far I have worked a total of 16 double crochet, and I want to work the 17th one together. So put your hook in the last chain, grab the yarn and pull through the first 2 loops, and instead of finishing the double crochet with a white yarn, I'm going to bring up my second color, the green color, to finish the row with. Okay, so grab the new color and pull it through the 2 loops. Now when we do this, the last stitch, it seems as if it has been completed with the white yarn, but at the same time I attached my new color. Now what I usually do is I make knots. Okay, I would make a knot with the green and the white yarn to secure the side over here. Chain 1 and turn your work. Now starting from the first stitch right over here, work 1 single crochet. Now this is row 2 in the first row of repetitions. Okay, so 1 single crochet in the first stitch. Now chain 2, make sure that your chains are not really tight. So 1, 2 chains. Now I want you to skip 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, and between the 3rd and the 4th double crochet right over here, between those 2 stitches, I'm going to put my hook and I'm going to work a single crochet. Okay, so skip 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, and between the 3rd and the 4th right here between, work 1 single crochet. Again, chain 2, 1, 2, skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and between the 3rd and the 4th right over here, put your hook and work a single crochet. Chain 2, skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, between the 3rd and the 4th, put your hook and work a single crochet. Chain 2, skip 3 stitches, between the 3rd and the 4th, put your hook and work a single crochet. Chain 2, skip the last 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and now I'm not going to work a stitch between the 2 stitches. What I'm going to do is I'm going to work a single crochet in the last stitch of the row, which was the 3 chains of the previous row. So counting from the bottom to the top, put your hook on that 3rd chain right here on the peak. Now I am not going to complete the single crochet with the green yarn. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring back my white yarn. So I'm going to cut the yarn. I forgot to do it earlier. So go ahead and cut the white yarn, so we're going to attach it on the other side. Okay. So I'm going to finish the single crochet with the white yarn. Now cut the green yarn because we're not going to need it now. And what I usually do, as I mentioned earlier, is I make knots just to make sure that my ends aren't going to frog themselves. Okay, right here. Okay, so now we're going to start row 3, which is the second and last row of repetition. So we're repeating row 2 and row 3. In this row, I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and this is the first double crochet of the row, and I'm going to turn my work. Now, under every chain 2 space, I'm going to be working a total of 3 double crochet. So 1, 2, and 3. Now, under the next chain 2 space, I'm going to work a set of 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Under the next chain 2 space, again 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Under the next chain 2 space, 1, 2, and 3. And under the last chain 2 space, 1, 2, and 3. And on the last stitch of the row, on the single crochet, we're going to work the last double crochet of the row. Okay. Now again, instead of finishing the double crochet with the white yarn, I'm going to bring up the new color. So I'm going to cut the white yarn because I'm not going to need it. And I'm going to bring up the new color. And now I'm going to attach a pink yarn. You can go ahead and have only one color on your repetitions of the second row. But I think it would look nice if we have a second color as well. So I'm going to finish the double crochet with the pink yarn. And make a knot. Okay, so here we go. The repetitions of row 2 and row 3. So now again we're starting all over again with the repetitions of row 2. So in row 2 we were working our single crochet. So chain 1 and turn your work. Starting from the first stitch, work a single crochet. Chain 2. And now from here on, see how we skipped the 3 stitches and worked a single crochet between the 3rd and the 4th? After the first row of repetitions, our stitches are separated. They're in sets of 3. So it's easier to see where to put the crochet hook. Okay, so skip your 3 stitches and right here between the 3rd and the 4th, work your single crochet. Chain 2. Okay, and work a single crochet between the 3rd and the 4th stitches. Chain 2. And single crochet between the 3rd and the 4th stitches. Chain 2. And single crochet between the 3rd and the 4th stitches. chain 2, and because we are in the end, I'm going to work a single crochet in the last double crochet of the row, which is the chain 3 that I started the previous row. So counting from the bottom to the top, work your single crochet on that third chain. And again, instead of finishing the single crochet with the pink yarn, I'm going to bring up the white yarn again to work my sets of 3. So finish the single crochet with the white yarn. And I'm going to cut the pink one. Okay. And I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3, and I'm going to turn my work. And again, under every chain 2 space, work your 3 double crochet. So 1, 2, and 3. Next chain 2 space, 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. So keep repeating this step, keep working 3 double crochet under every chain 2 space, and once you work the last 3 double crochet under the last chain 2 space, work your double crochet on the single crochet, and again you're going to change your color to your green, okay, or you can attach a third color depending on what you want your colors to be. You can even use all your scrap yarn with this pattern, okay. So once I finish the row, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how it looks at that point, and then I'm going to work a few rows of camera just to see how the pattern looks like. Okay, so here we go. I finished my row, and in the last double crochet I attached my new yarn again. So keep repeating row 2 and row 3. Again, you can always make it with one color. You can make it with 2 colors, or you can make it with as many colors as you want if you have scrap yarn that you want to use up. So I'm going to work a few more rows just to see how the pattern looks when we have more rows. And then we're going to go right ahead into our calculations to see how by using our sample we can calculate the number of chains needed in total rows for a bigger project. Okay, so I worked a few extra rows, and this is how my project looks like at this point. The only bad thing that this stitch has is that it leaves a lot and lots of loose tails that we have to weave in the end. One way to avoid weaving in the ends is if you make a blanket or a throw, you can leave those tails and just tie them into knots like I showed you earlier. And this way, just leave them on the sides and it would look very nice on a blanket or a throw. It could look nice on a scarf as well, but if you're going to weave in the ends, you're going to have to pick which side you want to be the good side. If you pick this side to be the good side, where the double crochet is on the good side, you're going to have to weave in the ends on the other side. What I did is I picked the other side to be my good side, where the single crochet is on their good side, because I like how it looks between the stitches. Okay, and when I weaved in my ends, this is how my project looks like. Okay, now let's see how by using this sample we can do our calculations to work a bigger project. Now, of course, we need to know our stitch, which is the block stitch. We need to know the rule, this is very important, which is multiples of 3 plus 4. The repeating rows, which are row 2 and row 3, and my gauge, which is made of 17 stitches and 11 rows, and they give me 4 inches by 4 inches. And see how I mentioned 17 stitches is because I count the stitches of the first row and not the chains that I start with, and a total of 11 rows. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 rows, give me my 4 inches. So I want to crochet a blanket which is width 30 inches and the length I want it to be 30 inches, so 30 by 30. Now, how many chains I need to start with? When we talk about chains, we talk about the width of our project, okay? So I'm going to use the measurements that I have for the width over here and the measurements that I have for the stitches over here. So in order to find the chains that I need to start with, I need the stitches from my gauge, which are 17 in this case, times the width that I need, times 30. And I'm going to divide that number by the width of my gauge, divided by 4. So let's see, stitches from the gauge, which were 17 times 30, and I'm going to divide that number by 4. So 17 times 30 is 510 divided by 4. And the result is 127.5. Now this 127.5 is the chains that I'm going to need to start my project with. Now of course I cannot start with 127.5 chains, so I'm going to go back to 127, and I want this number, those chains, to be a multiple of 3, because this is what my pattern states, that I need a multiple of 3. So when I do 127 divided by 3, I need to get a whole number as an answer. Of course, when I do the division, the result is 42.3, which is a decimal. Okay, so I'm just going to write 42.3 here on the side. When I do 127 divided by 3, the result is 42.3. So of course I cannot use that because my multiples are not going to come out right. So because the decimal point is smaller than 0.5, I'm going to start subtracting 1 by 1 chains, 1 by 1 stitches, and I'm going to be subtracting, and I'm going to be dividing by 3 up until I get a whole number as an answer. So I'm going to go down to 126, and I'm going to do 126 divided by 3, which is my multiple, and the result is 42. So if I start with 126 chains, the result is 42. So since my answer is a whole number from the division, this means that 126 chains are a multiple of 3. But please do not forget that after that, we always need the extra 4 chains in order for my first row to come out right. So 126 plus 4, I'm going to start with 130 chains to have a width of 30 inches. Okay, now let's see how many rows we're going to need to work in order to reach our 30-inch length. Now, how many rows? I'm going to multiply the rows from my gauge, in this case 11, times the length that I need, in this case 30, and I'm going to divide that number by the length of my gauge, which is 4 inches. So the rows from my gauge, which are 11, times the length that I need, times 30, and I'm going to divide that number by 4. So 30 times 11 is 330 divided by 4. And when I do that number divided by 4, the result is 82.5. Okay. Of course, I cannot have 82.5 rows, so I'm either going to have 82 rows or 83 rows. Now, because this stitch repeats 2 rows, row 2 and row 3, because row 3 is an odd number of row, and because I only repeat 2 rows, I want the end rows, the total rows that I'm going to have, they need to be an odd number of rows, sorry. So if I have 82 rows, this is an even number of rows, but if I have 83 rows, Okay, this is an odd number of rows because row 3 is the row of double crochet, which is going to be the last row of repetitions. Okay, so this is how we calculate our chains, this is how we calculate our rows. Okay, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and if you like the video, please press like and leave a comment. Thanks again. Bye bye.